Human rights attorney Michael Ratner joins us now in the Firehouse studio, president of the Center for Constitutional Rights, author of the book, The Trial of Donald Rumsfeld, among others. Welcome to Democracy Now! I want to talk about the secret memos. Let's start with this hearing that has been called by Patrick Leahy, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, calling for an investigation into Bush administration crimes.
You know, I won't say I'm exactly biased here. But I think essentially that the Leahy Commission is an excuse for non-prosecution. It's essentially saying, let's put some stuff on the public record, let's immunize people, and then, as he even said, let's turn the page and go forward. That's really an excuse for non-prosecution. And in the face of what we've seen in this country, which is essentially a coup d'etat, presidential dictatorship, and torture, it's essentially a mouse-like reaction to what we've seen. And it's being set up really by a liberal establishment that is really in some ways, in many ways, on the same page as the establishment that actually carried out these laws. And it's saying, okay, let's expose it and then let's move on. And he even says, what we're going to do with the Truth Commission is we're going to look and see what mistakes were made. I mean, just ask the 100 people who were tortured in the secret states about what mistakes were made, or ask the 750 people at Guantanamo, or ask the people at Abu Ghraib. This is not about mistakes. This is about fundamental law-breaking, about the disposal of the Constitution, and about the end of treaties. So I think actually that Leahy's current proposal is extremely dangerous. I call it the lame commission, or basically an excuse for non-prosecution.
And you think that there's no essential difference between him and the Obama, the White House position at this point?
You know, I don't think he would be out there without the Obama administration at least saying this is maybe a way to go. Look, there's a lot of pressure in this country right now for prosecutions. I mean, the polls indicate that people want to see a criminal investigation. We've had open and notorious admissions of waterboarding by people like Cheney, and we know that waterboarding is torture, even according to Obama. So how do you diffuse that pressure? And one way you diffuse it is you set up a, quote, Truth Commission that's going to give immunity people. And then, as Leahy himself says, the word he used, I think, is that he objects to those fixated on prosecution. Well, you know, it's a legal requirement that you prosecute torturers in your country, and yet he calls us fixated on it and wants to make this excuse. So I think this is, in a way, you don't know this, but in conjunction with the Obama administration, saying, let's do this, it'll dispose of, you know, the human rights groups in the world and others, and let's go forward.
And your assessment of these latest memos that the Justice Department has released in terms of the further proof that they show of possible criminal action?
I'm glad you said that, Juan, further proof, because, you know, we've known a lot of this from the beginning. You know, I remember actually 6 weeks after 9/11 writing an article called Moving Toward a Police State, or Have We Arrived? And we've certainly seen the effects of these memos. We've seen the military arrest Jose Padilla in the United States. We've seen them do that to El Mari. We've seen torture. We've seen secret sites. We've seen warrantless wiretapping. But what we see in these memos, and I recommend them to everybody, because you read these, you are seeing essentially the legal underpinnings of a police state or a dictatorship of the president. There's no doubt about it. That's what it is, and it's not theoretical. These were the actual building blocks of what we had in this country for 8 years, in which, in the one you mentioned when we opened, Juan, that what happened here was one of these memos said the military could operate in the United States and operate in the United States despite the Posse Comitatus law, which prohibits the military from operating in the United States. And when it operates, this is really extraordinary, they can arrest and detain, arrest is not the right word, kidnap anyone they want and send them to a detention place anywhere in the world without any kind of law. And then on top of that, they can disregard the First Amendment. So this conversation we're having right now, they could say, well, this is harmful to the national security of the United States. That's what these memos say. This type of conversation is harmful, and we can ban this conversation. And then they could put the military at the door to the firehouse and come in and say the Fourth Amendment, the one that protects us against unlawful searches, that the military could walk in here, search all of us, and see if we have anything they don't like on us. So no First Amendment, no Fourth Amendment, no Fifth Amendment, essentially the end of the Constitution and 225 years of constitutional history. In the face of this kind of memo, we're seeing Leahy say, let's see what kind of mistakes we made.